trying to get it right. Work with me. Okay, let me get this thing going. Okay, let me come back now. I gotta ask this question. What's up? Yeah, I'm on right now. I'm Give me a minute because don't leave. Keep talking. I gotta send all the notifications out. So give me a minute. Don't leave. Cause I gotta put this thing on. So keep on talking. Keep on talking. Keep talking. Just bear with me because I'm sending out the notifications. Still on. Okay, here we go. Still on. Okay, here we go. Come on, go, 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 go. Come on, go, 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 go. Okay, I am back now. So if you can, I am back now. So if you can hear me, give me a one. Things are too over scrutinized on social media. Ain't no way that view displayed intent. I'm not sure. I couldn't clarify. Probably was not malicious. Nah, it wasn't malicious. It wasn't malicious at all. Michael Jordan is not a cheat chaser. He ain't doing nothing wrong. And if you look at it, but he's also people are looking for anything. He's a black man and he won. First of all, I'll say this. He won in a sport. Say this. He won in a sport that they really don't have a lot of black folks in NASCAR. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. I just sent out notifications so people got know that I'm on. Hit them likes, hit that poll up, feel free. I'll be on for an hour today. NASCAR is very lily white and he bound to have rubbed some people the wrong way. He has been pretty much unscathed, except for in the community, because people in the community always thought that he was bought and paid for. Some do. Depends on who you talk to. Now, especially in NASCAR, what he doing in NASCAR might actually overtake his NBA career in a way because they really lily white. I mean, we talking about Confederate flags and all kinds of things up until like last night at midnight. They're not the most progressive. NRA, uh, anything you can think of. What's up? Timing is perfect. Thank you. You asked. I'm here. I'm here. Um, question mark for Friday, but it'd probably be later if I'm on. If I'm on, it would be late Friday. If I'm on. Then after that, definitely Sunday. So, and then next Monday for sure. But anyway, thank you all for coming on. But yeah, so and yes, I'm going to once I'm concluding here, I'm going to do my Jesse Jackson video. What more? What's more? Well, horse racing was when I was a kid, and that's not. I don't eat food, ate meat, so that is out the question. But that was where a lot of cats made their money. I respect auto racing. I think Jeff Gordon really was. And I got a story. A guy named AJ Ford. I used to go to school with his daughter, so that was a respect. I gotta say, well, I used to watch Lance Armstrong, and I like all that biking. Tour de France was my thing. Motorbiking because I can't think of his name, but the cats be doing flips. Probably my favorite. And I was a huge Evil Knievel fan growing up, so probably that motorcycling, that motorbiking was always something I did. But I'm gonna tell you something. Love speed race as a kid, loved all that stuff, right? But they made it. Ridley Scott was an African American drug. Richard Pryor played him in a movie came out back in '76 with Bo Bridges, but they don't push the agenda for black folk with it. So, it's one of those things that you have to be a student to. They don't push the agenda. They don't push it. So I'm gonna tell you like this. When I was a kid, right, horse racing was like baseball. Thank you very much. Thank you. Horse racing was bigger than the NFL once upon a time. I kid you not. Betting on the track was the way to be. Horse racing, baseball, pool. There was a time when the NBA, you could go basketball, obviously was on tape delay. Nobody, horse racing had more love than the NBA did. I kid you not. So it's it's still popular. I mean, obviously the Kentucky Derby, but it's more belongs to another bygone era. Just gonna keep it 100 about that. Not my swing, but there's people who definitely, you know. So, but yeah, it's definitely that thing. Okay, so 75 says no to Michael Jordan. That's good. I thought I'd go in with the Michael Jordan. I don't think I would touch the Jesse Jackson. I will do the video on that separately. Mm, but he definitely left an impression. Somebody said, well, because it was a big victory. Because I did a video, and do you know he went to court against NASCAR, and they had litigation. So this was kind of ironic that the first event post that court decision, he won. Oh yeah, Michael Jordan is large. In case you didn't know, he's special. How many brothers do you see get camera time at NASCAR? I mean, think about it. Even Bubba Wallace doesn't get half, and he's one of Jordan's drivers. He transcends things. I remember back in '94 when he played baseball, and he transcends. That's why he's got to eat LeBron up, cause he's one of one. They did. Don Cheadle, and I'm gonna tell you something. I do like Glenn Plummer, but he's not what I call. He's theatrical, but he's not a leading role like Cheeto. Cheeto's one of those kind of guys that, well, I'll give you a case in point. Devil in a Blue Dress. And also that episode with Will Smith with him and Hillary were messing around. He hit the camera right. But Cheeto, when he did the Devil in a Blue Dress, I think Denzel must have said, we don't ever put a guy hungry like that in a movie with me again. Because he stole a movie from Denzel. And that's when Denzel was in his peak prime. That's how effective. You ever seen Devil in a Blue Dress? Cheeto was no joke. And I go back with Cheeto from Colors. Yeah, he been around a long time. But I think that and Rwanda, Hotel Rwanda, but they never give him the kind of role he doesn't get. He should be getting Lawrence Tate. He should have gotten Chadwick Boseman. Should have gotten that kind of, he didn't get that juice. Plumber is, and he actually had an episode on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. The problem with Plumber is that he's almost getting hood roles. He actually has an Othello in him. They're not gonna give it to him though. When they put him in Showgirls, I mean they don't, you know. Oh, he didn't. He did the Miles Davis. No, he didn't. Ain't no cheeks for checks. And he kind of keeps himself kind of where he gotta say. Oh, just from the so let's just use the complexion variety, Rich, shall we? Because let's talk about the elephant in the room. He should have been your next come up of Wesley Snipes. And I heard he was up for the Shaft role, but they gave it to Samuel Jackson. So I remember OG, but I used to watch that movie. Prison turns you soft. I still remember that line. You got soft up in there. OG. Yeah. Well, of course you did, because he had that episode in The Fresh Prince where he called Carlton Banks a sellout. Yeah, well, again, you take what you can get. People act like the industry pays you like that. Sometimes you got to do like 30 hood movies to get one decent movie, and everybody pay. Shoot, as great as Terrence Howard was in Hustle and Flow, do you know all he got was like the equivalent? And it's no knock. It's not a diss. It's a fact. He got basically a McDonald's manager check for a year's worth of work. So you got to understand how that business work. Cats got to do a lot before they get some or something. And when you get basically treated like you just a nobody, they really put your butt behind the 8 ball. So Hart, remember Josh Hart with the Knicks when he dug all into Jalen Brunson? It wasn't like that. So people need to stop all this. But again, he a black man. He got to be aware of that though. They looking for anything to take you down. And I know that some people hate his lifestyle because he's a black billionaire, and that's something. And he was stamped a long time ago. I don't always like everything about Jordan because I know that I feel like it's playing always give me plantation vibe because he was never a threat. And I and it does something for me that he might be more popular than Ali from a personal standpoint because I just don't, he was great at what he did, but I just didn't feel him like that. And believe me, they looking for anything, anything. Nobody care about Dwight. We know how Dwight parlays. Dwight just looking to get in a Tyler Perry movie. That's all it is. Yeah, he might be looking to really get into Tyler Perry. And anyway, just saying, Dwight. Dwight gets a pass. He gets a pass. They won't let him back in the league. What you expect? Why did you watch that garbage? Now I know Miami Heat player won, but eh, all the cats combined, I don't think average 10 points a game. It's garbage. I was watching what was it? The game from 2000. What's happening? And it's just 25 years ago watching Austin. Please. What's happening? How you doing? It just don't waste my time. I'm not wasting my time with it. They're bound to be somebody out here who can do some crazy dunks, but the NBA wants to promote what they got, and they know that nobody wants to because the cats turned off from it. Somebody tried to blame it on Vince Carter and Kobe. I just think that because the truth of the matter, the reason why I don't hold it against LeBron, unlike some other people do, most cats got typecast as dunkers and they didn't become great players. They should just let people from TikTok or something do it. That's what they should do. That's how you save it. They should have like Somebody random off the street challenge Anthony Edwards says 50,000. That's how you would do it. Make it like us against you. Make it interesting. Actually, that's what you should do with the three ball. Shoot, have somebody in the stands try their luck. You gotta figure out a way to say, okay, we're gonna make this entertaining, competitive. Bring the fans in. The problem with him is he can't play, but he can dunk. McLovin, they don't want to compete no way. It's no incentive. See, guys coming along today already got shoe deals and NIL money. They don't need to compete for that. Why would you? It was a big deal when I was coming along. It doesn't mean anything now. Besides, most cats do best dunks in games than they do at the showcase anyway. Just saying. So I don't waste my time watching it. I just found out watching the lowlights. I don't waste my time. I haven't really paid. I think Zach Levine and Drew Gordon, and it took Aaron Gordon. It took Aaron Gordon. He turned into a decent player, but at him and what happened to Zach Levine? Zach Levine is a double broke Vince Carter, and his game never got better. It's cute. It's cute. It don't mean nothing. Except Kawhi Leonard put on the show. It don't mean nothing. They're trying to do what Ice Cube did with the Big Three and square off teams. The problem is you're trying all this little run. You want 48 minutes. You don't need all this 12-minute mess. Shoot, they lead it to Ice Cube lead. But you remember he was him and so we had Golden State and Cleveland every summer, and then we had Zach Levine and Aaron Gordon in the slam dunk contest. Remember? Yeah. But see, that's what they paid for. Zach Levine is one of your problems. That's what they've pushed. And he scores 20 points that you don't care about. We always got an era like that. Stat padding left and right. And he's the free agent that nobody wants. That can score 20 plus points, can dunk, shoot threes. But what else does he do? It's window dressing 101. It look good, but it ain't good. That's what they push. You know. I don't waste my time. I don't waste my time. Oh, so there was the guy that won the NASCAR race the other day. His son had some ice or something in his back, and Michael Jordan pinched like he was going to his back to get it out his back, and some people misconstrued that Michael Jordan was pinching his booty, and they didn't blown it all out of proportion. Actually, he was just shaking it out his back, and he got blown out of proportion. And and like I said before, Jordan gotta be careful. Cause I heard some people trying to say, "Oh, he's like the other MJ." I'm just saying, and they ready to call you all kinds of names because there's no respect. It's not bigger. However, I will tell you this: if you know how big NASCAR is, it carries weight. It carries weight. It carries weight, especially for a black man in that world. No, it was no pinching, nothing. He just was shaking it out his back, but his hands. Yep, that's what I'm saying. It took a life of its own. Yep, little white boy too, and they all call him kinds of names. And him and R. Kelly were cool because I believe I Can Fly in Space Jam, and he sung it his 50th birthday. And Michael. Now he didn't pinch him and he didn't shake him. He just was kind of like nudging, but they got blown out of proportion. Got way blown. When we were kids, half this stuff that they make that wasn't nothing. Yep, I saw the picture. I saw the video. But you got people out here who want to call everybody a perv, so gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Got to be careful. You just never know. And if they can call you a booty bandit, they will. Believe me. Well, on my form, you can tell me how you really feel about Jesse. I ain't got no problems with it. And he is polarizing. And I'm gonna tell you something. I know he was at the Playboy Mansion. I know that him and Al Sharpton were like almost like spies and they was industry. I know about his son who they had to do a bid. I know a few things about Jesse, you know, because he was one of those cats, that pulpit preacher who was down with Trump and down with some folks. His business never came up. But I know some stuff about him now. Yeah, he used to, in the streets, they used to call him Messy Jesse. I'm just keeping it 100. No, you can speak how you feel. I mean, nobody gonna. First of all, I did a video about him. I got videos about him, and I didn't. I I got cats that I grew up with who weren't feeling him. They still think he had a hand in Dr. King, so they always was talking about the angle. He is polarizing because he was just like Sharpton, and you know that's what's up. So first of all, you're a tax write-off when you're a minister. You do know that. And second of all, if you play the game a certain way, you ain't gotta ask no questions. I ain't tiptoe around it. I'm gonna do my video after I finish this live stream exactly. And I gotta talk because he made valid points. However, there was always, he was kind of like Cosby-ish. They just didn't go after him because again, and allegedly, as a kid, he had a white sugar daddy. Allegedly. That's a story I heard a long time ago. They pick who they want to pick on. I remember his CNN gig. I remember the stuff he did. Some people look at him as a poverty pimp. It all depends on how you look at him. So that's why he didn't go under. That's why Sharpton don't go under. That's why Farrakhan didn't go under. You know. They respected him. I mean, I'll say this. He had messages that I liked. He had messages that I liked. But I also know people who thought he was responsible for Dr. King's situation too. And I will put that in the video. He was at the Playboy Mansion. I got the pictures. And he was very much, there's a lot of stuff. You know, he got around. I'm not bad mouthing him. I'm just gonna say that observations. I'm not bad mouthing him. I'll tell you something. Don't let a mustache fool you. And there's a lot of stuff go down that cats be into. Well, I mean, and this is the thing. I liked him as a mayor. I don't trip on stuff like that no more. Mm-mm. Industry done taught me better. Industry taught me a lot. Cause what you think, you be surprised. And what's coming to light, you be surprised. There's a lot of cheeks for checks. That's how I keep trying to tell you. If you watch I tell people all the time, cheeks for checks. Both. Both. Cheeks for checks. Booty for looty. Industry represents the streets. You can't be a pusher if you can't hustle. And then you put the two worlds together, you got peanut butter and jelly. They used to cover up a lot of people. I think what's gonna catch you off guard is they covered up a lot of people because they used to PR. So for men, it used to get them beards, and for women, they get them a skirt. That's why I call women on the low. They got a skirt. Whitney Houston, and I love Angela Bofield, and I do love Angela Bofield. But You Give Good Love was just like another. And that was originally for Roberta Flack, by the way. And I do like Angela Bofield too, but Whitney, I didn't say it wasn't, but you asking me. Don't get mad when I give the answer that you don't like. I hate when people get mad because I give the answer that they didn't want to hear. And I'll say this to you. I like Whitney better overall as an artist, but I'll listen to Angela Bofield as much, if not more, because I like her musicality. And she was Whitney before Whitney, but Clive Davis did her dirty just like he did Phyllis Hyman. You know, I know I like Angela Bofield a lot because she could let because tonight I give in. Her voice, please. She runs circles around anything that's out here today. Anything. And I'll take the 70s for 500, Alex. People don't like it when I tell the truth about that, but I got to tell it. But no, it's good that you know your stuff, that you can mention it, because a lot of people don't do that. I look at Usher talking this one. If you want to call him one. This the thing. Let me just put this in perspective for you about him. He ain't got R. Kelly's catalog, and he ain't got Chris Brown's pizzazz. So what's he got? And the reality is, he's a double after school special, broke Michael Jackson. And he never got better. And Jay-Z even called him on it. So he's like somewhere in between. He's a good showman, probably the best showman of his generation. But he lacks that other thing. And that's the problem. That's why it's like it comes off fraudulent. Like his halftime show should have been up there with because he performed. He had the gloves. He had the roller skates. He had a cool vibe. But it's always something about he just trips his own. He trips over his own shoelaces. Close but no cigar. So I'm gonna tell you like this. I'll take Bobby Brown's run over Usher. I know Usher got a bigger career, but give me the Bobby 88 through 91. Give me that window. I'll take it. 88 through 92, give me that window. Because Bobby just, that's what Usher don't have. Just too stiff for me. Bobby had it. Shoot, I'll take Tevin Campbell over Usher. I don't care. You gotta give me that voice. You gotta give me something that will go okay. The funny story about Usher too, he never liked none of the songs that have hit. He didn't like My Boo. He didn't like Caught Up. He didn't like Yeah either. That's the way love goes because he was more versatile. Always Be My Baby was a cool mid tempo and it definitely worked for its style. But that's the way love goes. That was smooth. Like had she came back like on that tip, like a Sade pre neo soul candlelit vibe, because that was smooth. That thing worked. Probably the last song of hers that I really went goo goo gaga over. Always Be My Baby. I like the runs that she did vocally in it. And I like the background part, but that's the way love goes just kind of hit a little bit. Just hit me a little bit more. She fell off to me. I didn't like anything after Velvet Rope. And I only thought Velvet Rope was hit and miss. I think that her best run for me was 86 to about 95. I thought that she had a good decade, but I ain't like nothing after Velvet Rope. And Velvet Rope was hit and miss to me. I just thought that she was getting too gimmicky. She got too freakalized, and I just didn't really feel it. But she had a strong peak in prime. I have no artist that I listen to because I thought All for You was corny, and then I thought the other stuff was just corny. I just no, didn't like the one with Nelly. Just didn't like some of the stuff that she did. Girlfriend, boyfriend with Blackstreet was corny. The Busta Rhymes one was alright. It was alright. But I just no, I didn't know. Mess with no Demeter Joe. No, no. Think she just went too freaky lies for me. And I expect her to be more of a songstress after a while. And let it then first of all, let me keep it 100. Unless you're a diehard Janet Jackson fan, ain't nobody gonna care about nothing after 97. Ain't nobody gonna care. She can do Got Till It's Gone. Maybe We Go Deep. I Get Lonely. She might could do like, about 2 or 3 songs off that joint, but ain't nobody gonna lose no sleep. So I ain't sleep on nothing. Her voice ain't the same. And there's nothing that no, no, no. Only Janet Jackson fans care. Most of us moved on. We moved on. We already know that it ain't getting better than Control and Rhythm Nation. We already know. And we like certain parts of the Janet album, certain parts of El Rope, and that's it. We got the hits, we good. We not caring about anything after that. Because I will tell you a story. After Velvet Rope, if she was to go use that discography from 2020 to now, she be playing in somebody's dive. she'd have like Latoya Jackson happy hour. It's supposed to be, well, no, I'm not saying get better. I'm talking about where you mature. You show maturation. You're supposed to be doing more of a lounge, more vibe with people, not stuff that nobody will hear that mess. I liked her when she was in her peak and her prime, but she got old, like I said, too freakyalized. You know, in her peak and her prime, yes, but she ain't in her peak and her prime no more. So nah, I'm not. No, nope, 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 nope. But each into their own, and bless your soul. That's all I got to say about it. All right. TLC got the songs, SWV got the voices. I listen to Crazy Sexy Cool, but I still listen to SWV's first record. I probably, at this juncture, probably would listen to probably SWV for more. But like when I hear Red Light Special or something, I was bumping TLC last summer. So when she did the Men in Black with Will Smith, Men in Black, uncredited too. Sounded good. Just didn't have no personality to sell it, though. That's the problem. And it had no machine behind her. Voice was cool. It's a lot of politic involved. Because I'm gonna tell you something. Coco should have had Fantasia run. Okay, we being honest. If we being and SZA too should have had SZA's run, Fantasia run. I can name it. Just didn't have the or should have had Ashanti run it. Had no budget behind her. So much politics involved. It ain't about your talent. It's about you know. We could be up here talking about it. There's a lot of acts that don't get no love. You're gonna see a lot of it. It's par for the business. It's how the business is. TLC had the better songs. Come on now. Brian Morgan, who was the writer producer, is good, but he wasn't touching Alley and Babyface. He wasn't touching Babyface back then because TLC had cuts. Kansas City, that's a no-brainer. He got to go somewhere where he's familiar, where he got a chance to win. He ain't going to go to Philly. He ain't going to go to Rams. And he wouldn't be a bad fit with the Rams, actually, but he won't go there. KC, and they got to know how to utilize him because he ain't going to come back burning nobody. So, but if he's smart, he goes back to Kansas City. If he's smart, he never should have left to begin with. That was one of the dumbest moves ever. Forget about stat padding and living your life. You could have been seen in people having you with Michael Irvin and beyond conversation because you basically look like Antonio Brown. Well, went to Miami and you were there to retire. But I had to talk about him. I do have to do a video about Tyree. Because I will have to do that. That's what I think. But Kansas City is the option. Hope he comes to his senses and say, I should have never gone to that old folks home in Miami. Because that's what it was. End up going to an old folks' home, and it didn't end well. It didn't end well. Going with the barge, and I do like In the Mood, but that was too modern for them. And I do like the harmonies of it. It's tight, but Love Me the Elder Bar. I mean, the thing about the barge is this: they're one of the most sample covered acts. They didn't put out a lot of stuff, but got it right. Got it right. I don't think people realize how filthy to be able to get it right. Not overdoing it, got it right. The harmony, and then that harmonica playing with Steve Love Me in a Special Way. It was a seal the deal. Yeah, but see, L's a great writer. Earth, Wind and Fire, Steve Wonder, and Carlos Jobim kind of like that bossa nova thing going with. They had a Carpenter's influence, had a very pop thing going, had a commercial ear sound. Yeah, because some of the projects had that gimmicky vibe. When they hit, they hit. I know exactly what you mean, because when they hit, they hit. But remember, that was when you only put like 8 tracks out. And if you had about 2 or 3 that were bangers, you know. So I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. They weren't an album act. And I'll say this: when he went solo, I liked his solo records, but he didn't have those songs. That's the thing. I did like his remix for After the Dance with Foreplay, and I like some of the songs on his records, but he didn't have those kind of songs on his solo records that he had with the Barge that were the money tracks. Talent is there though. Make no mistake, he's one of the most honest artists I've ever heard. Okay. Yeah, I give you that. Give you that. Okay. I'm gonna be on for another 15 minutes, so had to go make a little stop today. So I will, would have been on earlier, but it's okay. I still gonna get an hour in, so it's all good. Probably come back Friday. Probably come around this time Friday if everything goes right. So maybe a later start if y'all around Friday. But we still got 15 minutes here, so let's keep on talking. Anybody got something they want to say? Please hit like, subscribe, clicks. Thank you for taking the poll. Okay, I missed a couple questions. Anita World. Oh, Love Come Down. But Ring My Bell is more iconic, though. It's more iconic. But Love Come Down was more catchy to my groovier. I'm taking Love Come Down because I like the groove. When she and Cashapp were together, I liked it. But Ring My Bell was big, though. Ring My Bell is more iconic, though. Give me an idea for something, too, by the way. I just hadn't, it didn't show up on my thing. That's what it was. Let's see what we got. See anybody still on here. It's gotten quiet, so. All right. Okay. Um, Angel. But I did like Allison Williams though. But I gotta give it to Winbush. She could sing. I just never really cared for most of her materials unless she was working for somebody or something. But she could sing. Allison Williams was nice though. Yeah. Hmm. Um, Jagged Edge. Come on now. Men at Large. I ain't heard that name in so long. I had to scratch my head. I was almost getting them mixed up with the Rude Boys. Men at Large was decent, but Jagged Edge. Just for that remix that they did with Nevia. That alone. And I wasn't big on Jagged Edge because them and 112 are like what I considered second, third tierish groups. But I give them that. They had a couple songs I bop. Well, neither one of them though. But I'm give Jagged Edge because the vocals. But no, that stuff was corny at the time. I don't talk about corny acts. Yeah, but I'm not excited about them because they were a tier below Boys to Men and below Jodeci. Yeah, you know, when you start talking about 112 Jagged Edge, I know. The Rude Boys words too. I know. But I don't be talking about them third tier groups. Cause see, for me in the 90s, after seven was a carryover, Boys to Men, Jodeci, um, uh, most of those other groups were watered down. So I liked him as a songwriter. He was yeah, he was good in spurts. I liked him like as a brother, you know. I like that last song he did. You know, he wrote some songs, but he wasn't a great artist and like that. He was, something. Troop, I like Troop better. So for real only had one song. Yup. You know the tiers. Now the 90s was the last year of the group tiers. I'll give you that. And 112 Jagged Edge was second, thirdish. But Boys to Men, Jodeci were first tier. I liked High Five better too. Silk was in yeah. But Men of Vision was in that third tier. Portrait was second. It was just, you know. But when I say that, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that there was a lot of strong candidates. It's just that they fell into tears because their talent level, not because there was so much depth. It's not like the 70s when, you know, false. I ain't never heard none. I like the song Girl. I like a couple RA songs, but nothing that I sit there and go, ooh, you know. I like In Vogue better than them. I like uh DC's better. And bet well, DC can't compare to TLC or SWV, so I just say that. Sold a lot of records, but I ain't felt it. I ain't felt it. Mm. Beyonce's always left me kind of cold as an artist. So I'm probably one of the few people on the planet that'll tell you that. Just left me kind of cold. Yeah. Well, they become overrated because they are manufactured like everybody else. The problem is that if you ain't got a breakout star, of course they're gonna be overrated. We looking for that Michael. We looking for that, that Bobby Brown situation. We looking for somebody to stand out. And if you don't stand out, anybody gonna try to sit there. Look at Boys to Men sitting there for like 30, 80 years later, and you ain't never no one really stood out. Unless you do a new edition, which is a rarity. So yeah. So Anita. Because I love soul inspiration. I like Sade for mode, but I like Anita for the singing and the vibe of the song. They hit me in two different ways. But soul inspiration was one of my cuts. Nah. Jackson Hayes. You talking about the Lakers? That's the only Jackson Hayes I know. You talking about that big old clungy clump? I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that. Oh, I saw something. I didn't say nothing. That's the difference. I saw something. I ain't say nothing. I saw it. I didn't say nothing. He got to do something because I remember he beat up that girl in that video. Never mind. And I don't know how he get it because he big clumsy. He just a clunker. He just goofball with no real game on or off the court. Just cornball. Um, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna do a video. Yeah. Well, you can always watch my videos. Because I got a lot of different videos. I touch on a lot of different topics, and by all means, you know, by all means, watch them. You know, different videos hit for different reasons, and so you know, that's the nice thing about a catalog of videos that I have. You can go back and watch them. They're sitting there, and they're there. And by all means, and spread the word if you like them. You know, so well, it is a premiere. I'm live right now, so it's a premiere. It's just that what it says, but it's live. I'm on live. It's just that it took a while to start it up because the first one it didn't go through, and for whatever reason it was making me wired up. So anyway, this is live, and I will probably be on around the same time Friday around this time, maybe a little bit later, if I come on. If I come on, so be on the lookout. Definitely on Sunday and Monday. So yeah, I know they talk about premiere, but that's how it works. So yeah, Michael Jackson. You forget Thriller and all that came out after he was out over a decade plus. That's later in your career. Stevie Wonder. You forget songs kid like that. Like acts used to get better. Marvin Gaye. Yeah. They were like 10 plus years. That's what I mean. The Bee Gees. 10 plus years later. That does count. No, he ain't. No, he ain't. Because the truth of the matter is most teen acts don't get to the level he got. Their best stuff. Remember, there ain't no cheat code because the cat was doing Vegas as a teenager. So let's talk about it, shall we? 74, 73, 74. They were in Vegas. I was 5 years into his career. So Motown career. So what cheat code? You ain't nowhere in the world that if you're doing Vegas in 73, 74. See, doing Vegas back then was the kiss of death. And then later you gonna work with Quincy Jones. They thought you were committing suicide. Well, Stevie Wonder too. Because Stevie almost got dropped until fingertips hit. And then who saw the songs in the Kid Life 10, 11 years later? Marvin Gaye doing Hitchhiking Out. Who saw what's going on coming out? See, the Motown acts are the ones that, and Lionel Richie too. Yep. Down the road. Yep. Well, nothing touches the Supreme stuff. Her solo career ain't touching the Supreme stuff. Not touching it. Put the work in. But what your question is, they got later on in their career. Later in your career can be 5, 10 years later if you have a career. Bee Gees were bigger in the mid to late 70s. I thought they did in the 60s. I'm just saying. So when you ask that question, you can make a strong case. That's a great one because if you think about it, Bodyguard, that I was always love you. Yeah. But she never had the same material because her material was more schmaltzy. She had that schmaltzy material. Yeah. Um, Miles Davis. There you go. Because he came out and his albums were great. Yeah, Miles Davis is a great example. His albums got better. Hmm. Hmm. So it's all about finding your hit and your formula and all that, you know. Again, well, they had A&R people. They had real record people. They had people that would say, "That's cute. Go back to the drawing board." That's what Barry Gordy did. That's what they used to do. They put you with the right writers, producers, arrangers. They made you work. Have with Michael Jackson. Because I'm gonna tell you something. I've been seeing lately some people boasting about the Triumph album being better than Off the Wall. No, it's not. They need to stop the cap. It was tight for what the Jacksons did, Off the Wall was next level. Next level. Quincy Jones, where his real strength was as a arranger, was finding the art, the musicians, to the vocals, to the putting the people in place. He had an ear, and that he brought Michael, songs that Michael wouldn't have been able to bring a human nature, bring a lady in my life, bring that talent, and make your album whole. That's what you do. So You got to understand it. She was still in the early stages of her career. Because the only problem with that, she wasn't 10 years into her career. There is a difference. Well, that's because the thing about it, Destiny and Triumph were very strong records. I like them a lot. However, Off the Wall and Thriller were next level. I like some of the first record, some. The second record was corny, and she sounded like she'd been on Fame too long. She just soulless. It was cute. Bubblegum. Reject. I looked at Janet like I did Bobby Brown because it was still early in his solo career with that thing, you know. So Bobby's case is different though because I don't think nobody saw him leaving New Edition and becoming Bobby Brown. They thought it was gonna be Ralph. So yeah. So you know, yeah, you can make a case for Luther Vandross too until 80 until he did that Here and Now mess. But but he was progressive. So it all depends on which artist we talking about. Hip hop is a different animal, and let me explain. He still was in his. Did he really get better though? Because he kept catchy songs, but did he really get better? Most rappers tend to peak when they first come along. I haven't heard anybody that I say, now, shoot, I'd make a case for LL Cool J before I say Jay Z. LL got bigger because Around the Way Girl was like, what, 5, 6 years after he had came out, which was a pretty freaking big deal. Mama said, knock you out. You make a case there. There you go. There you go. And if you want to say from a production standpoint, Dr. Dre, there you go. I give you some people in hip hop. You could say Scarface. There you go. I can give you some hip hop. Some people might kind of give Nas a nod. Maybe. Maybe. Depends. Because he did come up with Ether. That was like, what, 6, 7 years. And hip hop's different. Hip hop's different. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's because hip hop is like fast food, and we know this. Yo behind, you know. 98 to about '02 was his peak in his prime. That was the Eminem peak in prime. Most people have been hit and miss after uh, you know, 8 Mile. Hip hop's a different animal. People kind of, you know, some might say Will Smith. Because he did get bigger as a solo artist than he did with Jazzy Jeff. You can make a case for that. If you want to go commercialize, you can make a case. You can make a case. The Carter. I like how people be asking me about hip hop because I never talk about it much. Now you know I be listening, but that's another story. Yeah, you could. I'll tell you a name you ain't mentioned, Kendrick. If you're all about not like us and all that, because let's be real, I like King Kunta and all that back then. But this whole thing that he's done in the past couple of years, whether you like it or not, he's bigger now with Luther and all that stuff. He's bigger. He's a good example. There you go. And I'm not really that big on it, but Kendrick gotten bigger. Even though it doesn't really feel like it, but he got bigger. Make a case for Outkast. Mm-hmm. Was Hey Yeah and Look the Way You Move, which came out a decade later. They were one of the few to do that. So yeah, there you go. There's a few exceptions to the rule in hip hop. Hip hop is very stagnant though. Few and far in between though. So All right. Oh, I take Pac easily. Kendrick is catchy, but it don't hit me the same. It just don't hit like that. It don't. Like, and I like him. He has a certain energy and a vibe, but he ain't that deep. It just doesn't hit like Pac did. Pac just was more poetic. I didn't always like Pac stuff, but Pac had a way of moving you. It just was something there that it hit a certain way, and I don't feel that way about Kendrick. And to me, he's dominant in the watered down era. There's nothing to really go against. But I mean, bless his soul. But it is watered down, and and people like I don't get the hype like that. Not saying he ain't legit, but you talking about Kendrick? Oh, from what I heard, it's alright. It's alright. He's one of those cats that in another era, I think he would have probably benefited with some competition. I mean, he's all right. He just doesn't have. He's in between Drake and Kendrick. His problem is he ain't commercial enough to hang with Drake, and he ain't hitting hard to hang with Kendrick. No, I know it's 26 songs, and I got to hear about 10 or so of them. It wasn't bad, but that's too many songs for that turkey. I mean, that's the audacity. What you trying to get out of a contract or something? Because no one puts out 20, says you Chris Brown, and no one remembers the half of that mess. You know, I heard some of it. It wasn't bad, but he's not that kind of artist. And there's no artist in hip hop that could pull that kind of stuff off that I would say. Well, no, I didn't feel the way about Jay. Okay, sorry. Um, Nas, I would say. I'll give you people who would get me attention for a double album. Biggie was interesting. Biggie could pull it off because he had enough versatility. He was more versatile, those guys. Pac because he was Pac, but I wouldn't recommend a double album. But could be compelling. Nas lyrical, but again, when you cast like that, that gets kind of down, and Jay Z gets kind of down. But Biggie, yeah. Ice Cube when he was in his peak in his prime, possibly could have been interesting for that. Scarface could have been interesting for that. It depends on who you asking me. Well, Wu Tang had the production, and you had different, and the same thing with Bone Thugs. J. Cole is in an era where no one's got that attention span. Okay. No, nice effort. I mean, hey, to be prolific and productive, much respect, but he's kind of like giving me fabulous with a bit more tongue, more variety with the tongue where he can flow, but that's kind of like what it would be. And if he was as smooth as fabulous with what he does, then Kendrick might have to like look over his shoulder. Cause you gotta know how to have a pen, paper, and combine all of it. Oh, Jada Kiss, come on now. You know me better than that. You know me better than that. The problem with Jada, though, he sold out. He's sitting on Fat Joe's couch and no one put no money on him. Jada wraps most of these turkeys under their table. Jadakiss on a hot bar would make Lamar's hair perm out. Okay, you know this. You don't even ask. You already know. But the problem with him is that no one put the right material and they put no budget on him. He should have been in the conversations with the Scarfaces and with the Ice Cubes. Okay, we being honest, and with Ghostface Killer. If we being honest. Y'all don't never hear me go off on hip hop like this. That's why you need to come check me out live. Nobody don't know how much hip hop I know. People downplay me with this hip hop stuff, but I tell you, I be watching. I know. Jada Kiss was one of the baddest. Believe that. That's a matter of choice. Kiss always moved me though. It's just that I think he didn't get no, just like Beanie Siegel, you know. It's but hey. But I didn't get into about you asked me about Jada Kiss versus J. Cole. That's why I was flowing on. I wasn't bringing nobody else. No, she didn't. As a live performer, not really. Okay, I'm gonna tell you like this. Black Thought can now rap him, but Black Thought ain't got no identity. Because Black Thought's tied to the roots and Questlove. The Afro then dominate him. Black Thought's one of those cats that we'll never know what he could have really been like. We'll never know. So that's kind of like not fair, you know, because your MC is tied to something that you can't surpass. And if Lauryn Hill had gotten better with her career, she'd have came up with another record. She could have ran things. She didn't. They saying that because of the streams and because of popularity. Plus, we're removed from hip hop as a domain. When I say we're removed from hip hop as a domain, you got to go back years before you could think of 10 rappers. Think about it. So he's been bringing heat for the last decade plus, right? And so is Kendrick and Drake, right? Yeah, but you don't have nothing else in recent memory. 50 Cent is more known uh for trolling than his hit making because no one listened to him rapping no more. Kanye. Think about it. That's why they can say that to you. You'll laugh and you'll cringe, but what they're telling you is that hip hop is not really on the beaten path like it once was because you don't have 10 rappers. And the other rappers I can mention are no longer here. Like Nipsey's gone. Uh, uh, um, the cats got knocked out. You know what I'm saying? So think about it. I know what they trying to say. It's like when someone asks me, is Drake top 10? Because you don't have 10 rappers no more. And all the other rappers is old. Think about it. Think about it. That's why Kendrick can pop off like he can because there aren't 10 rappers that people. ASAP Rocky ain't no threat. Just saying. He should have never been in the first place unless she was on OnlyFans. That's the only rotation you need to have it on was on OnlyFans. She had like couple joints on there, and the rest of that mess was trash. And that album about lasts as long as her and Stephon Diggs, okay? And about as many catches as Stephon Diggs had too. Come on now. You know better than that. In case you don't know, I give you comedy hour in here too. So anybody watch this live stream, you want some laughs, I'll get them served up. Come on now. But that's the reason. That's the reason. There aren't 10 rappers out today. So some of these cats gonna get treated, you know. This it's a low volume right now. It really is. Okay. Well, I'm gonna get ready to go in just seconds. I have about 3 more minutes. I'll start Jeezy, I'll bench Boozy, and I'll cut Gucci Mane. Cause Gucci was like novelty to me. Bootsy kind of lasts a little bit longer. Jeezy, I like Jeezy early. But you understand what I'm saying? If you're a big J. Cole fan, you're gonna say, well, how many competition? There ain't a lot out here. So that's why he looked like he looked. What you mean what's that as the best rappers? You talking about East Coast, West Coast? Talking about the South? What you talking about? I don't really get into that because that's too subjective. That's why I did a video about that. I did a video about that because we were doing a live stream and that was brought to my attention. I made a video about that. That shows you how fake the NBA is, but you watch that mess. All I did was get report and I said, wait a minute, he ain't seen him play all year. That's the NBA for you. They need a star power. They need a star power. That's why they brought him on. If you're asking me today, West, South, Midwest, East Coast, I tell you the South. Because the South took over the East Coast. And the South preminated everything. Um, Back in the day was the East and then it was the West. And Midwest got high. But the South has been more dominant. South took it over. For better or for worse, it never was the same. So that's how I call it. All right. So I got 2 more minutes before I roll. Appreciate you coming through. Thank you. Great. Come back on Friday. I'll come back on. If you're on Friday, come on Friday. Definitely Sunday. This has been great. We never talk about hip hop like this, so this was cool for people who don't know. Yes, I was very sad that Damian Lillard, but hey, that's Adam Silver's NBA. He's got to stick it to you every chance he gets. But they needed the PR in Portland because the only thing that people knew about Portland was what? Chauncey Billups' court case. Got to do what you got to do. That is the cold reality of what's going on. Got to keep Portland. And Portland ain't got a bad team. Portland got some pieces on that team that if a team needed some pieces to put a run together, because they're not doing that bad, all things considered, that their coach is in lockup. But yeah, they need a Dame. So that's what's up. So anyway, appreciate everybody coming through. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. Catch you soon. I'm out. Peace.